Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. I'm your host Terry. Hey, so it's been a minute. It's actually been like 2 weeks since wait, where's my soda? Hold on. All right, I'm back. It's been like 2 weeks since I did a video, so a few people kindly have asked and said, "Hey, are you okay? Or how you doing?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." So it's been, well, I'll start like most recent. So I have a trainee on the truck. That's his stuff up there. We're actually stopped at the Loves in Max Meadows, Virginia, exit 84, I-81. And I just noticed that they're working on the Loves sign. There's like some dude in a cherry picker way to crap up there working on the heart. He's working on the heart at Love's. So last week I only worked 2 days. No, wait. Yeah, well, I went out on I guess 2 days. I went out early Monday, and then I came back in on Wednesday because it was of course Father's Day weekend, and we were gonna go camping, except man, the weather did not cooperate. But I had doctor's appointments on Thursday and Friday, so I came off the road on Wednesday. And the other purpose of coming off the road on Wednesday was my truck needed to go in for service, and they're like, "Hey, you need to get your truck in here." So I was like, so I kind of worked it out. I was past due for service, and I worked it out with my my driver manager. And so I said, "Yeah, I'll bring the truck in Wednesday." But okay, so this is where follow this story, right? So my driver manager, he's like, "Hey, your truck's coming due for service." I'm like, "Okay," and he said, "But I don't really want you to go to the shop in Frederick, Maryland." Because he doesn't trust them. And he doesn't trust them because there have been situations where he had a driver put a truck in the shop, and like a week goes by, 10 days goes by, they still haven't worked on it or finished it or anything. And that whole thing is just kind of bizarre to me, but I have worked at companies where the shops were not that good. Night transportation, for example. So he's like, "I want you to bring it to the shop in Williamsport." But which is like the corporate headquarters. But because he wanted me to bring it to Williamsport, I had to arrange with my wife to come there to get me, because my vehicle was in Frederick, where I normally park. So anyway, I dropped the truck off on Wednesday night. My wife comes and gets me. But here's what I know. I've been in like 4 different trucks at Bowman. The first one is because I got sideswiped. They put me in another truck. Then that second truck, I hit a deer. They put me in this truck. But then this truck had an oil leak, even though it's still kind of brand new. It's got like, what do we got? 60,000, 63, 65 now, right at 65. But like, it had an oil leak, a major oil leak, and I talked about that in a video where I had to carry all this oil across a parking lot. Oh, sorry about that. So so I had the truck in the shop, and so I was like, I took my stuff with me. So then, fast forward to, I get a call from on last Thursday. I get a call from our training department. They're like, "Hey, we got this guy we want you to train." I was like, "All right, send me his information." So they do, and I reach out, and we, have a meeting of the minds. And then, my driver manager's like, on Monday, I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go over," and he calls me. I hadn't even left the house. He calls me. He's like, "Yeah, your truck's ready." But the funny thing about that was, like, I had the truck was in the shop for this oil change, but like, it was like it was still up in the air whether or not my truck was going to be ready from Wednesday to Sunday. And so anyway, oh, by the way, so somebody made a comment recently, and they were like, "Hey, you look like you got a sunburn on your nose, and your nose only." Well, one of the doctor's appointments I went to last week was a dermatology appointment, and the reason I went is because I have this stuff on my face, and it's rosacea, right? My dad had it when he was older, and I think it's just like a little bit. So that's why my nose looks a little red, because normally I don't do these videos drunk, but it's just rosacea, and it's, you know, it's a skin condition, and I need, you know, I'm taking antibiotics for it. So anyway, I get the truck back on Monday, and I had my trainees there, and we get our stuff on the truck, and then we head out on the road. And our first, well, actually I had a trailer, a loaded trailer sitting on the yard, so I just took that down to Winchester, Virginia from Williamsport, Maryland, and then we went up to, we headed north up to Holland, New York. And we delivered that load that we picked up in Holland on early Wednesday morning. And then we headed down to Stewart, Virginia to pick up a load. So we were on our way back from Stewart, and we got up to exit 273 off of 81, and there's a Sheetz there, and it's got a fair amount of truck parking. So so, you know, it's hot out, and my company doesn't believe in APUs or anything, so the engine was idling. And I had talked on the phone with my wife, and then I was just starting another phone call, and my trainee had gotten out of the truck. And I should say that he's you know, he has some experience, and like my previous trainee, he was at Western Express. Well, he gets out of the truck and he goes into Sheetz to get like a soda or something. He comes back, and you know, the truck was idling, and it was and he starts, you know, pointing to the engine compartment. So I'm like, so I tell the person I was talking to, I'm like, "Hey, I gotta, you know," I said, "Hold on a second." So I stick my head out the door, and he's like, you know, my trainee is like, "Hey, I think there's an oil leak." I was like, "Really?" So I told the person I was talking to, I'm like, "Hey, I got to get off the phone." So I popped the hood, because my trainee said, "Hey, pop the hood." I popped the hood. I get out, and at first I saw, you know, I saw liquid coming out from the truck and running down in front of the truck, and I said, "Well, the air conditioner's on, so I know there's water dripping out." But then I got over on the right side of the truck, and I realized, you know, like he was pointing out, there was a decent sized puddle of oil. And I will say that I had a couple of, you know, weird drops in oil pressure when we were coming up 81, but I was like, well, but both times it was when I was driving, by the way. At both times it was like when I was slowing down fairly rapidly, because there was like an accident, there was traffic, and you know how 81 is if you've driven it. Things like, for no apparent reason, you're just in a huge slowdown, you know, and it happens kind of fast sometimes. So anyway, you know, I was like, okay, well, there is water, because you could see where water was dripping down from coming off from the AC running, but then there was this big puddle of oil. And so I got my glove, because I could kind of see where it was falling. And this is maybe a pro tip for you: don't stick your hand under something to try to find a leak of a liquid that's over 200 degrees. And don't even stick your hand under it when you got a glove on, because unless the glove's like, you know, leather, it's going to go through. So, and it could burn you. And so I held the glove and stuck the glove out, and where I thought there might be a leak, because I couldn't tell if it was from the oil pan, but it turned out it's from the oil filters. So, mind you, the truck was just in the shop 2 days before that, or just had gotten out of the shop a little bit before that. So I had 2 gallons of oil left in the truck. I put that, so I shut the engine down, I should say that part. Put the oil in it, 2 gallons. It doesn't even register on the dipstick. So I'm like, all right, well, we got a big problem here. So we call, I call you know, the shop, roadside, whatever. And I'm like, hey, this truck was just in the shop for an oil change, and it's leaking like a sieve, and it's leaking from the filters. So they're like, all right, we'll send somebody out. And I really felt like telling them, hey, send a mechanic down here from Williamsport. Put him in a pickup truck and make him come down here. But anyway, this gentleman from the local area, from Mount Jackson, Virginia, he came over. And he got there pretty quick. Because they said hour to 2 hours, and he was probably there in a half an hour. But anyway, he came over, super nice guy. And he got his oil filter wrench out, you know, because he crawled under there, and he's like, you know, because he had me started, and he's like, yeah, man, it's leaking from the oil filters. Just kind of what I thought. So he gets under the truck, and then after he gets out, and he wasn't a big dude. He was smaller than me, and it was like I had to push up on the fender, like the fender liner, to get him out without him like scraping himself all up. I mean, that's how tight these trucks are. It's so hard to work on. And he gets out, he gets his oil filter wrench, and that dude put, man, I mean, on each filter, like 12 quarter turns. And I was like, that's ridiculous, you know? That was just totally, like, they weren't even hand tight. And the guy I have in my truck, he was a mechanic for a while, and we were just like, all three of us were shaking our heads. So I was, you know, it was just a little ridiculous. And then the guy that came out to tighten the filters, he ended up putting 3 more gallons of oil in the truck. And then we got it into the correct range with a total of 5 gallons. That's not everything that's in the sump, but it was a lot of it. And yeah, it just ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And there's zero doubt. I mean, I'm not a mechanic, but I worked on enough cars and changed enough oil in vehicles over the years to know that if you put a filter on correctly, and you know, you put a little oil on the gasket and you crank it down, you don't have to put a wrench on it. If you got any strength in your forearms and you tighten it to like really hand tight, it should be fine. It should not leak. And you know, the thing is, we check the oil, but I don't know if maybe by Wednesday, I don't really understand exactly what happened, but I know those things were loose. And maybe they got loose because they weren't like super tight to begin with, and the just vibration from the engine loosened them up. I don't know the answer, but it was not a cool situation. But I was grateful that he was paying attention when he came out. He didn't just ignore it. He said something. Because, you know, once it got dark, I might, you know, if I might not have noticed it. So I was grateful for him, and I learned a lesson. But yeah, it's Friday. We're in the process of running the last load for the week, and then he's going to be done, and he'll test out Monday and be on his own. And I'll probably be back on the road. I don't know what my schedule is next week, because I actually have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday. So, and it was kind of funny when I went to the dermatologist. They were this gal, the doctor, PA. She was like, "So are you like busy today?" Or, you know, I came a little early. She's like, I'm like, nah, I'm kind of like, I'm old enough that, you know, I'm just like semi-retired. And she's like, oh, so you just go to doctor's appointments all the time? And I was like, yeah. Like you're either coming from the doctor, going to the doctor, or planning for your next doctor visit when you get to be my age. But now I got I do have an appointment next week, and it's just one of those periods of time where I'm just kind of like catching up on stuff that I should have probably been doing for a while. But anyway, I just wanted to check in with everybody, show my face, let everybody know I'm sorry, there's a truck backing up in front of me, but now there's a second truck that had to back up. Just let everybody know I'm still around. And anyway, it's good talking to you. Be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.